house was quiet again. Not the kind of quiet that comes from peace, but the kind that wraps itself around your chest like a wet cloth. Heavy, suffocating. It had been 1 week since the call. Since the truth dropped like boiling oil. Since Kene, the man she called husband for 8 years, told her she was just a means to an end. Now, the only sound in the house was the creaking ceiling fan and her breath. She sat in her daughter's room on the small pink rug beside the window, her legs folded, her back to the door. In her hand, the single white sock, one of the last things Chisholm had worn before leaving for Canada. Her mother knocked gently, then opened the door. She said softly, "You haven't eaten anything at all day." Chidima didn't look up. Mama came closer and sat beside her. They said nothing for a while. Then Chidima whispered, "They took my baby's mommy. I wasn't even allowed to say goodbye properly. He planned it all along." Her voice cracked. And he gave me a house like I'm a tenant he's settling. And 10 million naira, like change after market. Mama's eyes wailed. "You are still their mother." "But Mama, I'm not here home," Chidima replied. "He made sure of that." Later that night, her father came into her room. He sat by the edge of the bed with the firmness of a man who had seen many storms, but still hated seeing his daughter face one. "Do you want to fight him?" he asked gently. "We can call the family elders or go to court." Chidima shook her head slowly. "No, Daddy. Not now. Not now that I don't have anything much." "Why?" "Because I'm still weak, Daddy. And you don't go to war when your legs are shaking." He nodded. "So, what do you want to do?" She looked up. Her eyes were swollen, but her voice was steady. "I'll take the house he gave me and the money." He flinched slightly. "But not because I'm accepting the insult," she added. "I'll take them because they will fund my resurrection." 3 weeks later, Chidima called her banker and transferred the 10 million naira into a new business account in her name only. She contacted a friend who worked in logistics, started researching export routes to crayfish, palm oil, dry pepper. She didn't announce anything. She didn't even post on WhatsApp. She simply got to work step by step. Her friends were surprised to see her again. "You've changed though. You're glowing. Is Kene back?" She would smile gently. "No, I've just been busy." "What about the relocation plans now?" We're taking a break for that for now." They didn't know what she was building. Every call Kene made from that point forward, she recorded. Every voice note where he tried to play peacekeeper, she saved. When he said things like, "I hope you're not planning anything stupid. I'm still their father. Don't think of court though." She said nothing, just stared the messages, archived them in 3 separate folders, backed them up on Google Drive. Even when he called one day and casually said, "Chi, don't forget they have a mother in Canada too," she replied, "I've heard," and saved the file as Exhibit B, attempted erasure. One evening, her friend Adese visited and asked, "So you're really letting him win like that?" Chidima looked up from her laptop, where she was studying Canadian immigration law. "Who said he's winning?" Adese raised an eyebrow. "Right now," Chidima said slowly, "he thinks I'm finished. That's good. Let him relax. Let him get comfortable. Let him keep sleeping." Adese sat up straighter. "So you're planning something?" Chidima nodded. "Yes, I am, but I'm not making any noise about it. At least not on social media." She looked at the framed photo of her kids on the shelf, the one from their last birthday party before they left. Then she whispered, "Let him have his 15 years of marriage. I'm coming for the rest." 5 years. That's how long it took her to rise again. Not loudly, not sullenly, but brick by brick, building a life from the very rubble he thought would bury her. After transferring the 10 million into her business account, Chidima didn't just start a business. She studied the game, paid for online trainings. She attended free webinars after exporting food items from Nigeria to Canada, Ghana, and the UK. She found a mentor, a retired customs officer who taught her how to avoid greedy agents. At first, she started small. Palm oil, dried fish, crayfish. She used her late uncle's old shop in Obete Market as storage. She packed the first orders herself, delivered some by bus, made mistakes. One client returned goods because of poor packaging. Another accused her of delays, but she didn't stop. By year 2, she hired 3 staff. By year 3, she had registered a company name, a CAC certificate, and 2 major clients in Toronto. She didn't post on social media. She didn't tell Kene. She didn't even change her number. She just stopped waiting for it to ring. The monthly 300k allowance stopped long ago, but by then, she didn't even need it. Her children, she still hadn't seen them. He allowed video calls only once a month, heavily monitored. Each time she would smile through the screen. She would wave. She would ask, "How is school? Have you eaten? Have you made new friends?" "Yes, mommy, I miss you. We miss you too." Kene will stand in the background, arms folded. Sometimes he will cut the call short. She never complained. She just hit record before every call and saved them under evidence, denial of access. By the 5th year, Chidima owned 2 warehouses, one in Enugu, one in Abuja. She had logistics team, a driver, and even an assistant who managed all export orders. She bought her own land, built a modest 4-bedroom bungalow, and opened a second bank account for international transactions, strictly for expansion. That's when she made the call. The call was to a Nigerian Canadian immigration lawyer, a woman she'd been watching from afar. They met once during a trade expo in Lagos. The woman had given a talk on parental custody and citizenship battles in diaspora marriages. Chidima had taken notes like a student. Now, she called and said, "Please, ma, I'm ready." She sent every document of hers, her children's birth certificate, photos, voice notes, proof of deception, messages showing emotional blackmail, even a screen recording of her daughter crying, "Mommy, why can't you come? Did you forget us?" The lawyer responded in one line, "He has no legal ground. Let's bring your children home." The case took 4 months. The evidence spoke for itself. Kene was subpoenaed in Canada and forced to appear in court. His wife, Ngozi, was visibly shaken when she discovered the extent of his deception. In his defense, Kene said, "She agreed to everything. I gave her money. I told her the truth eventually." But the judge wasn't moved. "You denied her legal access. You manipulated the relocation process and you falsified key documents." One sunny afternoon, Chidima received an email titled, "Custody Judgment Enclosed." She opened it, stared at the screen. Her hand shook slightly, then tears fell onto her lap. But this time, they weren't from pain, they were from power. 3 weeks later, she boarded a flight to Canada. Business class. She wore a fitted blue gown, hair in soft coils, face calm. At the airport, she stood by arrivals, holding a single sign, Chizaram Tobena and Somto. When they appeared, her legs almost gave way. "Mommy!" They ran into her arms, all 3 of them, taller now, more grown, but still hers. She wept. They also wept. Even passers-by paused to watch. Later that night, in a quiet Airbnb in Toronto, she tucked them into bed, one by one. Then she stepped out to the balcony and watched the stars. Her phone buzzed. A message from Kene. "You regret this." She stared at the screen, then calmly blocked the number. It was a quiet flight back to Nigeria. No drama. Just one mother with her 3 children and 5 years of pain folded into one gentle journey home. Chidima sat by the window, her youngest son Somto asleep in her lap. Chizram was sketching in a notebook. Tobena wore headphones, eyes locked on the tiny in-flight screen. None of them spoke much. They didn't need to. They were coming home all together. At Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport, there was no welcome party, no banners, no clapping. Just her father standing at the arrival gate in his white kaftan, arms folded behind his back. When he saw them, his face changed. The stern principal became a soft grandfather. He didn't run, he didn't shout. He simply opened his arms and Chizaram ran first. "Papa!" Then the boys followed. And Chidima just stood there, watching them hug. Her eyes blurred. Her father looked at her over the children's head. "You did it," he said quietly. She nodded, voice caught in her throat. "I said I would, and I did." Back at the house, Mama had cooked everything. Oha soup, jollof rice, fried plantain, pounded yam. The kids ate like they were discovering home. They asked questions. Mommy, why do we use buckets to bathe here? Why is there no heater? What's that lizard doing inside the window? Chidima laughed. Not the tired, broken laugh of before, but a new, rich one. The laugh of a woman who had been emptied and filled again. Later that night, while talking Somto into bed, he looked at her and asked, Mommy, are we going back? She paused. Back where? To that place. To Canada. She smiled and touched his forehead gently. Home is here now. And this time, we're not going anywhere without each other. The next day, she drove them to the office. Her staff greeted her as Madam C, but this time, they noticed something new. The way she held her head, the way her kids walked beside her like soldiers returning from battle, the way her voice didn't tremble anymore. One of her staff whispered, Madam, don't come back complete, oh. She just smiled and told them to get the export logs ready. Business had to continue. Weeks passed. The children adjusted faster than anyone expected. They picked up Igbo quickly. Tizram joined the arts club at her new school. Dobena made friends on the same day. Somto still missed Canada sometimes, but he clung to his mother like air. As for Kene, he tried. He sent a long email, said he wanted to talk like adults, that he wanted peace, that he was hurt by how things ended. Chidima replied only once. Peace is not what you give a woman after using her. Peace is what she finds when she finally lets you go. Then she deleted the thread, blocked him on everything, not out of spite, but out of clarity. One Sunday afternoon, she sat on the balcony sipping zobo while her kids played downstairs. Adeze, her friend, came to visit. She said, looking around, you built this house with pain, oh. No, Chidima replied. I built it with what was left after the pain. They both laughed. Adeze shook her head. So, what now? Chidima leaned back, looked at the sky. I raise these children. I grow my business. I keep rising. Are you still angry? No, she replied. I'm not angry. I'm just finished with suffering. It had been 4 months since the children returned. The house felt alive again. School runs, homework, laughter, the sound of chairs scraping during dinner, fights, the smell of egusi on Saturdays, Mama's voice praying in the background. Chidima still had her quiet moments, but they weren't sad anymore. They were peaceful. She often sat on the balcony at night, tea in hand, breathing deeply, until one Tuesday morning, just as she was reviewing shipping documents, her receptionist walked in nervously. Ma, someone is here to see you. Who? The receptionist hesitated. He said he's your children's father. Chidima's hands didn't shake. She stood, smoothed her dress, walked to the lobby, and there he was. Kene, older, leaner, dressed in a crisp shirt and jeans. His face wore something between regret and pride. She nodded. Kene, he tried to smile. You're looking good. I am. He looked around. This is yours. Yes. The house, the land, the company. Yes, they are all mine, she answered. There was long silence. I just wanted to see them, he said quietly. The kids. Why now? I miss them. You missed 5 years, she replied, her voice calm. But okay, you can see them. His eyes lifted in surprise. Really? Yes, but under one condition. What? She reached into her bag and brought out a form, already printed, already signed on her table. A formal visitation agreement, supervised, twice a year, no drama. He stared at it. You already prepared this? She looked him straight in the eye. I prepared it the day I brought them home. That afternoon, Chidima sat on the porch as Kene spent time with the kids in the living room. They laughed, showed him their new report cards, played with him on the floor. He looked like a man trying to remember something he had once owned but no longer could claim. When it was time to leave, Chizram walked to the gate. He hugged them. I'm sorry, he said softly. They nodded. Then they ran back inside. He turned to Chidinma one last time. You really don't hate me? She picked up a broom and began sweeping the front steps. I don't have the energy for hate, she said. Hate is a chain. I'm not dragging chains anymore. He swallowed. I thought you would break. She looked at him fully now, standing tall in her wrapper and house slippers. You should have known better. I'm the one who carried your children while carrying my future in silence. Then she walked inside and shut the gates. Her kids were on holiday. Business was booming and Chidinma stood before a group of young women at a community center hosting her first ever work for women rebuilding their lives after betrayal. She ended her talk with this. You may lose love, you may lose money, you may even lose time, but never lose yourself, because when you find yourself again, fully, truly, nobody can take you back to the version of you that broke. There was applause. A woman in the front row whispered, God bless you, ma. Thank you so much for this talk. This is just what I needed. Chidinma smiled. She wasn't bitter. She wasn't broken. She was complete. The end. Wow. And that's how Chidinma turned heartbreak into power, quietly, patiently, and on her own terms. But let me ask you, what would you have done if your husband just took your children abroad and told you to move on with 10 million? Would you have fought immediately or waited like Chidinma did? And do you think she was right to block him completely in the end? Or should she have allowed more contact for the children's sake? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I really want to hear your thoughts. If this story touched you in any way, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another one. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.